1996, Resident Evil 2 was released on the Sony PlayStation, and due to the impact of the game, it was later considered to be one of the most influential survival horror video games ever conceived. The characters of Resident Evil 2 were also some of the most memorable of the entire franchise. From the story, a minor character within the game was that of Robert Kendo, a Japanese man living in Raccoon City. Owing to the successful weapon shop that he owned, his skills and knowledge of weapons were also highly impressive. So impressive that stores actually sought him out specifically to customize weapons for their officers. His signature weapon for stores was the Samurai Edge. However, despite the fact that this minor character had help to equip stores with special weapons, during the outbreak he had no other choice but to barricade himself within his weapons store. Eventually, through circumstances, he remained in the shop and was overwhelmed by a group of zombies and killed in the process. At the time, the player base somewhat reacted positively to the character of Robert Kendo, and for someone who had helped Stars to meet his end in the way that he did, wasn't exactly forgotten by gamers, nor Capcom itself. In 2019, Capcom published the Resident Evil 2 Remake, and reimagined the entire game as well as the character of Robert Kendo. Encountered by Leon and Ada, Robert was again a survivor of the epidemic that consumed Raccoon City. From a note discovered by Leon, he was a good friend of Jill's and was once again an accomplished and sought-out talent with weapons. However, gamers noticed that this version of Robert Kendo wasn't Japanese. Some online speculation had it that his wife or child might have been of Asian or partial Asian heritage, or just that his family name of Kendo with no relations to Japanese culture or origin at all. As mentioned in the story, his wife was killed by the zombies, and his daughter was infected and just about to turn into a full zombie herself by the time that Robert Kendo and his daughter encountered Leon and Ada. Robert blamed Leon, as well as the Raccoon City Police Department, for not doing more to combat the infestation that had destroyed the city. If the note was taken into consideration, then the city might have fared differently with Star's assistance. Not wanting to leave his wife or daughter behind, after his confrontation with Leon and Ada, he took his daughter to a separate room and decided to kill her before her full transformation from child to infected. Outside, Leon and Ada heard a shotgun go off as Robert had killed himself. Leon mentioned to Ada that it was people like that who needed his help, which was the very reason why he joined the Raccoon City Police Department. The fact that Robert wasn't able to help his family was a reimagining of his somewhat meaningless death from the original Resident Evil 2. In the No Time to Mourn what-if alternate version of events, after he put his daughter to sleep, an acquaintance of his through radio mentions a way out of Raccoon City. Robert has no other choice but to take the escape route and flees Raccoon City. Much like the title of the alternative scenario, There Is No Time to Mourn. That was Capcom's nod to the players of the original Resident Evil 2 video game who wanted to see possibly more of the character of Robert Kendo. Sometimes a character can be forgotten because gamers wanted more from them, and decades later, finally did.